What I'd like to do today excuse me, is just give you an overview of the key points on how the decision in National Federation of Independent Businesses versus Sebelius, the ObamaCare case, NFIB for short, how it changes constitutional doctrine, and how most of those changes are for the better. So let's start with the Commerce Clause, a very important part of the Constitution. The Commerce Clause says that Congress, the people, grant to Congress the power to regulate commerce among the several states. If you looked at that based on its original meaning, on how commerce was used as a legal term of art in the founding era, commerce meant, first of all, primarily mercantile exchange. The commerce, the merce in that is from the merchant. So, besides mercantile exchange, there were also some things that were closely associated with it that were considered within the commerce power. Navigation, for one, cargo insurance, bills of credit, commercial credit, things like that. But the commerce power did not, to the people who ratified it, certainly mean something like economic activity in general, or anything Congress thinks is a national problem that it wants to solve. Over the years, particularly during starting the Progressive era in the early 20th century, and then especially the New Deal, courts adopted a much broader reading of the commerce power, so that it was in effect the ability for Congress to regulate almost all economic activity, even economic activity within a single state, because that would have economic activity in a single state can have a substantial effect in the aggregate on interstate commerce. The NFIB decision doesn't change anything I've just described, but what it does do is say that as far as the commerce power has gone, that's as far as we're going to go. We're not going to use these most expansive New Deal cases, such as Wickard versus Filburn, that says that Congress can limit how much wheat a farmer grows on his own land for consumption by the farmer's own cattle, the wheat never leaving the farm. We can regulate that because we were trying to cartelize and depress the production of wheat so we can raise prices, and so Mr. Wickard or Mr. Filburn can't produce more wheat than we allow. The court upheld that, but in 1942, the Supreme Court in NFIB says essentially, well, we're not going to change that, but we're not going to go even further than where that goes. So, in particular, historically, the power to regulate commerce has always been what it would obviously be. Commerce is a kind of activity. And so the power to regulate commerce among the several states has always been about activities that one might engage in some kind of commercial way or affecting commerce. And so even though Mr. Filburn wasn't engaged in interstate commerce, his production of wheat affected the interstate market in commerce, in the interstate commerce in wheat. So the court says the power to regulate commerce among the several states is not a power to regulate everything. So if you're not engaged in commerce, Congress can't make you participate in commerce. The power to regulate commerce presumes that commerce is already in being. Congress can't call you in, draft you into commerce, in essence, and then make you engage in commerce so it can regulate. So if you were being at home and you were inactive and you say, I don't feel like buying this expensive form of congressionally designed health insurance that Congress built for the benefit of its pet insurance companies, so that 30-year-olds will have to spend $3,000 for a policy that has about $900 in actuarial insurance value for them. And the 30-year-old says, I'm just going to stay home, watch South Park, eat some Doritos, not do anything. According to the court in NFIB versus Sebelius, that guy was sitting at home, not buying insurance, not engaging in commerce. Congress can't force him to buy that. He's inactive, he's not engaged in interstate commerce. Congress does not have the power to make him do that. And likewise, you can't redefine this guy's inactivity of staying at home, not buying overpriced health insurance, as saying, well, when he's sitting at home, he thinks he's watching South Park, but what he's really doing is engaging in self-insurance. Or he's made the decision, even though he's not engaged in activity, he's made an economic decision to not buy insurance, and therefore we can regulate that. The court says, Chief Justice Roberts, the Constitution is not built on these metaphysical kinds of things. The founders were, although they certainly understood metaphysics, they were practical men who were writing a practical Constitution, and you can't evade the plain language of the Constitution by engaging in these kinds of subtle redefinitions of everything.